think we're generally quite looking forward to it. If we look at everything that's on the agenda, energy, clearly on the agenda, nature, adaptation, food systems, also really having risen up to the agenda, which is quite interesting and which maybe hasn't had enough attention in the past. Clearly the focus will be on energy, at least for part of that conference. Much of the debate in energy, of course, about the phase out of fossil fuels, but now also talking about actual reductions, Scope 1 and 2 emissions, also very much essential.
Yeah, I'm personally very pleased about the food systems getting on the agenda. It's something I've covered a lot at World Economic Forum and other forums as well. So, absolutely. But let's go back to the contentious one as well. Having a lot of the detractors will not be swayed. They do not want big energy, big oil and gas at the table. This will be the first major conference that actually big oil and gas is at the table. They weren't there at 26, they weren't there at 21. They weren't invited to these ones. They were on the periphery as well. They've really got to prove their worth here, and actually they are doing something. What can they do to face down those detractors and say, no, we are actually doing something?
Well, I think part of the genius of the COP process is actually the concept of rotating hosts. And what it does give you is an opportunity to tackle different aspects of this transition. So clearly we understand where the skeptics are coming from.
You call it genius, others will say it's a calamity that it's in an oil state.
I would say it's an opportunity and a risk. Clearly there are elements of the agenda that will be more challenging to advance. At the same time, it gives you an opportunity to get some people in the room who need to be in the room and make progress on that aspect. There's no question that a phase out of fossil fuels need to happen. At the same time, what you cannot get by with is that until that transition happens, the amount of emissions coming from the actual industry itself in the production process does need to be tackled. It's a little bit similar to issues like electric vehicles. On the one hand, we need to electrify vehicles. At the same time, we also need to think what we do with a legacy fleet. It's a bit of a similar dynamic there.
How does COP tackle the issue of profitability? The last number of weeks have been stunning from the renewable space. The offshore wind problems that have been highlighted by various companies where major contracts have been cancelled, to what we're seeing in Europe that's required rescue deals for Siemens Energy, where there's been escalating credit costs. And it's not just one company where there are problems, escalating credit costs, inflation issues, quality issues. I mean, the last number of corporate stories have told us that the industry is just not profitable. So what does COP do about that?
Well, I think what we've seen there is we need to get into a little bit what has happened to that profitability. We've seen dynamics in component costs. We've seen effects of commodity prices. We've seen rates go up clearly as well. What all of that hasn't changed is the relative competitive economics of different energy sources. Financing costs for all sources of power have gone up. Solar is still more competitive than many of these other sources. So the structural driver there hasn't really changed. And that is, I think, something important to keep in mind, to disaggregate some of these cyclicals from the structural drivers underneath it.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.